Our guest is Regie Hamm. He was a wildly successful songwriter and record producer. His career was at its apex in 2002. He and his wife went to China and adopted a young lady, a little girl, and she had a number of problems. His career spiraled out of control, and in 2008 he wrote a song that you probably know of because David Cook made it famous on American Idol. And he's written a book called Angels and Idols. He's going to tell us about it. Regie Hamm, thanks for being our guest.
Hey, Michael, how you doing today? Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, sir. Tell me, first of all, what was going on with your career in 2002 when you adopted this young lady?
Well, Michael, it was awesome. I'll just be honest with you. My career, I actually left writing and producing, and I've always really had been an artist, and so I took some of my own money, made a record, got it signed to Universal Records, and I was on the verge of stardom as a recording artist. I had a single climbing the pop charts in early 2003, and everything just looked like it was going to be great. I was going to be opening for some big rock bands in Europe and actually some luminaries here in the States, and they were putting tours together, all that stuff that that you see on TV and read about was happening for me. And then in March, my wife and I flew to China to adopt our little girl. We thought we would get home. We thought we would maybe get a nanny, and I would go on tour, and it would just continue like it was. But it was not meant to be.
And this young lady had some problems.
She did. She had some severe problems, and some problems that we're still 9 years later, kind of getting to the bottom of. But what she had that we didn't know for 5 years, she has something called Angelman syndrome. That means she's missing a piece of her 15th maternal chromosome. Angelman syndrome is often misdiagnosed as autism or cerebral palsy. You're hearing it a lot more in the press these days.
How can something sound so nice and be so bad?
Yeah, well, isn't that the truth? Well, it's very ironic. They call it Angelman syndrome, and they call the kids with Angelman syndrome, they call them angels. And it was named after Dr. Harry Angelman, who discovered the disorder in the mid-'60s. And the Angels moniker is pretty apropos, though. These are very loving kids. My daughter is just the most loving child you'd ever want to be around, and she really does change lives just by her love and her affection for people, and it doesn't matter who they are. She is not a discriminator. She just loves everybody, and sometimes I look at her and wish I could be more like that.
Any regrets?
None.
I mean,
it changed my life, and it changed my life for the better.
It's a fact that if you're going to bring a child into this world, whether as an adoptive parent or you're going to give birth yourself, there's always a chance that you could have very severe problems. I've never heard anyone say, even people that have raised children with every level of problem, even people who've had to bury a child that was born into this world with a terrible problem and it eventually took them. Never a regret. They always talk about it as a blessing. Doesn't mean it's always easy. Reading the background on your situation, it was described raising this young lady as confusion, round-the-clock caregiving, life-altering sleep deprivation, crushing medical bills, and a devastating effect on your career.
Yeah, that's about it. We held a private insurance policy when we went to get her, and there was a loophole in the policy that we didn't even realize. That if we adopted a child that was more than a day old, that the insurance company had the option to keep her on the plan or to kick her off the plan. And with her first physical, the doctor put something on a chart that related to some of her symptoms, and so the insurance company kicked her off the plan. And we had her in the emergency room literally every week because she had one of the things with this disorder is seizures. So she was having grand mal seizures. We couldn't figure out why. She had one seizure that she was in for 10 minutes, and I don't know if anybody out there listening has ever seen that or been associated with that, but it will scare you to death. And it was one of the scariest moments in my life. They had to take my wife and I out of the room. They had to take her back into this, into the back room of the hospital and pull her out. We didn't know if they would pull her out. Now, a lot of these kids seize out and they just die. So yeah, that pretty much all the hotshot songwriter money I had made in the 90s just was depleted until finally there was just nothing left. And
so fast forward to 2008, and most people that know of Regie Hamm today, at least the younger crowd, know of you because David Cook made a song you wrote famous. In 2008, your wife tells you to enter the American Idol songwriting contest, and you did, writing the song "The Time of My Life." Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, I was pretty much at the end of it. I tried everything to revive my career. Nothing was working. And, the entertainment business is about heat as much as it's about anything else. And I had lost the heat, and caring for my daughter really full time had just taken its toll. I just didn't have time to really do anything but that. And so at the bottom of that, my wife said, "Hey, why don't you give this thing a shot? You don't really have anything going on right now. You've got nothing to lose." So I did. And I wrote a song that I really wanted to talk about. We had adopted a new little boy as well. I have 2 adopted children. My son is awesome. He's amazing. And he brought a new kind of sense of hope into the house. And I wanted to put that into the song. I wanted to talk about my family. I wanted to talk about my kids, the fact that you got to hold on to these moments and don't let them get away, and realize that this is actually your life. It's not something else that you're going to try to find somewhere down the road. That this is good. This is your life, and it's good. And so I tried to put that into a song, and lo and behold, it won. David Cook won the year, and he sang the song, and it started becoming a hit. And what happened with it next was just profound and divine. When my wife and I had been in Beijing, we had picked up these little hats that said 2008 Olympic Games. And we decided we were going to bring Isabella, that's my daughter, we were going to bring her back to the games in 2008. Well, obviously there was no way that was ever going to happen. She can't travel. We lost all our money. But that song closed the opening ceremonies of the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games.
Dude.
And it was just this divine moment, and this is really what sparked the book. I wrote a blog about it, and millions of people read it all over the world. And American Idol fans are a little crazy sometimes, and they picked it up. And the publisher called me and said, "We think this is a book," and so that's what became the book. And now there's a Hollywood film in development.